So you have two awesome Android phones, but at the end of the day, only one can take home the gold. What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I'm here with two of the highest-end, awesome, and I feel like I say that all the time, but two of the highest-end Android devices on the market right now. I have the Samsung Epic 4G Touch, full name, Galaxy S2, Epic 4G Touch. Then I have the Motorola DROID BIONIC over here. High-end on Sprint, high-end on Verizon, both 4G devices with dual-core processors, big displays, 8-megapixel cameras, and more. But this is a dogfight, so only one can take home the gold. Which one will it be? Well, you're just going to have to find out. But first, special thanks to my friends at Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with not one, not two, but a bunch of smartphones for use in our one-paw bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile to get either of these devices, you're going to walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, and more. So when you walk out, you're good to go, everything's set up, and you can start using that phone to its fullest potential. Which one's the best? Okay, on to browser test now, and we'll take a look. Both of these are on 4G. I have it kicked on both of the devices. And just for reference, I'm in Center City, Charlotte. So I'm sitting literally in the middle of Uptown. I have a window right here. So connectivity, even though WiMAX generally kind of flakes out a little bit when you're in buildings, I'm right by the window, so it should be relatively comparable. But let's take a look at the browser, and we'll load up PhoneDog on both of these. We're going to go to PhoneDog.com. And over here, we're going to head over to Internet. And we're going to load up PhoneDog as well. Now again, you know, this really 4.52-inch display really comes in handy when you're doing stuff like browsing. I mean, it's a noticeable difference. Even with something like 4.3, it's nice to have the additional screen real estate. So I'm going to load up PhoneDog over here, and we'll wait for it to load so we can kind of do a side-by-side comparison. You know, I've been having some issues, and I've talked about this a little bit on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, PhoneDog_Aaron, or if you read the site quite a bit. I've been talking a lot about Sprint's network issues. I've been having some issues in Charlotte, and I've also had the issues when I've worked with the device, various devices in New York. I've gone on some business trips to New York City, and I was in Orlando earlier in the year and had some network issues there as well. Now, Sprint's reached out to me. They said, you know, this is definitely unusual. We'd love to work with you. So I'm going to see what we can do about that network stuff, and if I can get any answers for you as to what's going on. But right now, the 3G issues, Sprint's 3G issues rather, in the Charlotte area have been pretty frustrating. I mean, network speeds, I mean, they're at like dial-up, like 100 kilobits per second, a little bit faster than dial-up, and so it's been pretty frustrating. And you know, I understand that data is not everything, but when you deal with a device like this, that literally everything, almost from the moment you turn the device on to when you power it off, is data-driven. Your email, data-driven. The weather widget, data-driven. The AP mobile widget, data-driven. Everything's data-driven, and so it affects the performance of the overall phone when the data is not up to par. 4G has been relatively decent, although I've noticed it's cutting in and out pretty consistently both here and where I live as well. So you can see, but pinch to zoom just flawless on this device. Absolutely fantastic. No checkerboarding whatsoever. Advertising fully loaded, and you can see the quick transitions from portrait to landscape. So it's a fast device. The only thing I wish it had is what Motorola's user interface has, a nice little transition effect that kind of throws the eyes a little bit and kind of tricks it into thinking it's just a smoother performance. Because you take a look at this and you can see how blocky it is. And that's something where your eyes kind of like, oh, that's kind of ugly. You know, you look at it and it's quick transitions. I wish the transitions were a little bit smoother, but that's a Motorola thing. That's not an Android thing. But you can see how quick and easy it is. And what I really like is when you go to Windows, go over here to Windows, and you can see it shows me a preview right where I left off. So I can go to New Window, then I can say, oh, where was I in PhoneDog? Scroll right back over, and I can see that. Now again, I can access this also by pinching out. You can see it brings up that other window as well. So performance just flawless on the browser front. Having some issues with the data speeds, but we'll see what happens and see what Sprint can do, and I'll let you know what they say. Now, pinch to zoom over here. There's definitely a noticeable lag in comparison to the Epic 4G Touch. There's a little bit of a lag difference. You can see it still zooms relatively quickly, but it's just a little bit more choppy than this one. You can see here in comparison how quick and easy it is. Then you can see this one's a little bit choppy, but the transition effects are still pretty smooth. Now, opening up a second window, a little bit different over here. You get text as opposed to an actual page preview. So we go over back, that's good English. And go back to PhoneDog, you can see it's just text previews of the various pages. But you know, overall browser performance, Epic 4G Touch takes the cake. And also it's nice to have that additional screen real estate. So if you're somebody that's really into YouTube or browsing the web, you're going to notice the screen real estate difference. And it's definitely pretty beneficial. Now I want to go ahead and get the quadrant standard scores out of the way, and I want to talk a little bit about the speed test stuff as well. But actually, before we do that, let's take a look at the camera. 8-megapixel cameras on both of these suckers, and we'll pull up the camera and let's see what we can take a picture of. How about my pen? That'll be a pretty good one up against a white background. So we'll see. Black pen over here, and that was not an intentional picture. Let's try that one more time. not going to turn on the flash on either one of these devices, just so you can see what the picture looks like. I want to make sure the flash is turned off over here. And you can see, hold these side by side, you can just see the different menu interfaces for the cameras. A little bit different, and then this one is different from the Photon 4G and some of the more recent Motorola devices, Motorola Android devices, that is. But let me see, flash, let's keep that, okay, it looks like it's turned off. And you can see there's that as well. So we'll try to get a similar picture. And this is an unofficial test, of course, but I've taken some of these and put them on my computer to do a more in-depth test. I've noticed that for me, the Epic 4G Touch overall takes a better picture. Now, where this one wins is in the HD recording department. The 1080p video is much better on the BIONIC. The sound is pretty decent. The video is very good. Now, this one, the video is decent, but the audio is a little bit blown out. If you take a look on YouTube and you go to our channel and look at the 1080p sample videos with both of these devices, I think you'll find the same thing. The audio is a little bit blown out, which was surprising, but audio isn't great on the Epic 4G Touch. This one does a great job. So if you're doing more video recording, I'd say go with this one. If you're doing more still images, I think this presents a much better quality picture. And actually, let me see. I'm going to pull it away real quick if you don't mind. I'm going to see if I have that other picture that I took in the review, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And I'll just show you an example of one I took earlier in the day. You can see here's one of the BIONIC. And you can see just the image quality is quite good. So camera quality, Epic 4G Touch. Video quality goes to the DROID BIONIC. So all depending on what you're most interested in doing. Let's take a look at quadrant standard. And you remember the Galaxy S2 scored phenomenally in quadrant standard, so we'll see what this one scores as well. I need to download quadrant standard really quickly. Okay, it's quadrant time on both of these. And like I was saying before I realized I didn't actually have it downloaded on this device, Galaxy S2 is known for having great quadrant speeds. This one does pretty well. Also, we both have dual-core processors, so we're going to go ahead and run the benchmarks on both of these. And we'll talk a little bit about call quality. Now, if you're looking for wireless radio and wireless radio alone, Motorola has always done an exceptional job in the wireless radio department. I mean, the call quality is fantastic. Took it to Verizon dead spot, and even though the call was a little bit choppy, I was able to hold the call. And I find that places where I typically get 0 to 1 bars of service with this one, or with other devices rather, I get 2 to 3 with the DROID BIONIC. Now that said, I do find that the signal strength indicator is a little bit conservative, and what I mean by that is, I have, for example, pretty decent coverage in a couple places I frequent. When I see 5 bars on my BlackBerry, for example, I only see 2 or 3 on this one maximum. So I think it's a little bit conservative, even though the DBM, and if you're familiar with wireless terminology, you'll know what DBM is. Even though it's exactly the same, it just measures signal strength a little bit differently on the BIONIC. So never fear if you're in an area and you maybe have 0 bars of service, or you have 1 bar. It's still most likely going to be pretty decent call quality. I've just found it's a little bit more conservative. Now, over here on this one, call quality's been good. We're going to try that one more time. Call quality's been good on the Epic Touch 4G. The signal strength has been very good. It's not necessarily as strong as the Motorola, the DROID BIONIC is, and other devices like the Photon 4G on Sprint, but it's still quite strong. We're going to let this run again, but we'll go ahead and talk about quadrant standard over here. 2,250 on the Motorola DROID BIONIC. So 2,250 over here, definitely a respectable score. And of course, take these with grains of salt. This is, these aren't real life performance indicators. These are all networks or various speed tests. So keep that in mind. It's not the be-all to end-all. I mean, both of these work perfectly fine in day-to-day performance. So I still like to do these for the people that love quadrant standard and other speed tests. We're going to try it one more time. Bam, there we go, 3,314. So you can see quadrant standard just blows it out of the water with 3,314 on the Epic 4G Touch. A fantastic score over here. But again, in day-to-day performance, keep in mind both of these are going to be perfectly fine. You're really not going to be able to tell much of a difference. I will say, I find things like pinch to zoom in the browser, like I showed you in part 1. Things like that are a little bit smoother on the Epic 4G Touch. Now, last but not least, I want to take a look at speed test on both of these devices. Now, we're running Sprint 4G over here, WiMAX, and then we're running 4G LTE over here on Verizon, and we're going to go ahead and do a speed test. And actually just somebody just pinged me and said they're experiencing a nationwide outage on Verizon, so taking a look at that right now. So far, I'm not seeing it over here, but it's saying I need to throw it into airplane mode, and then I'll throw it back on, and then that's when it kicks me off. So hopefully we'll get a good speed test score over here between these two 4G technologies, but you're really going to see a difference, and this is where you're really going to see a pretty big difference, honestly. Let's see here. Take a look here. We're running 4G over here. We're getting kind of a minimal signal. Even though I'm right beside a window, there's a window 1.5 feet away from me, so I'm surprised it's a little bit low. But we'll take a look here, and it looks like Verizon's maybe struggling with that outage. So we'll take a look and see if we can actually get a score. But I'll show you the results anyway just to show you kind of what I've seen over the past couple of days with both of these devices. So 0.80 megabits per second, needless to say, not great over here, but that's an awfully high ping, but we'll see what we're getting here. Roughly, okay, it looks like it's going through. So just using this one as an example, 23 megabits per second, 16 megabits per second on the upload, and you can see the difference here. It's just kind of frustrating because you look at WiMAX and you look at Sprint's both 3G and 4G, and experiencing some network difficulties in the Charlotte area and in Orlando, and when I traveled last month, or actually earlier in this month, up to New York City on a business trip. So something to keep in mind. Data drives these devices, and really honestly, a poor data performance can affect the phone all the way through. So from updating that weather widget to AP mobile to sending and receiving emails, it's all data based. So even though it's a fantastic device, I've been struggling there. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm working with Sprint on those issues, and they're trying to diagnose it, at least in my area. So we shall see. But you can see the speed differences just in these tests, and you can see the results over here that I've gotten. Some of the different results I've gotten on 3G and 4G. This one's been consistently on 4G, and you can see that they're, needless to say, pretty good scores. So both awesome devices. You're seeing $199 price tag over here, and you're seeing between $249 and $299 depending on where you buy it, which Verizon channel you buy it at. It's what you're seeing over here. So a little bit higher, a little bit more expensive, but Verizon's LTE, with the exception of apparently the network outage they're having right now, is pretty rock solid, and they're very consistent scores. So anywhere from 5 to 12 megabits per second, sometimes higher. But I can honestly tell you I haven't seen anything below 5 megabits per second since I've been testing it in the Charlotte metro area. It's been very, very impressive. And I want to show you one more thing before we sign off. I want to show you the contacts differences and kind of the differences in the PIM applications. We'll go to contacts, for example, just so you can see what the differences are. We'll go to Rick James, because Rick James is our buddy, and you can see the difference. I have contact history, and if I had any messages or phone calls, you could see that. And then over here I have the tabs, history, activities, and media. So different setup, but overall they kind of achieve the same purpose. So both of these devices are great. I think you'd be happy with either one, but obviously it's a dogfight. This one was a particularly hard one because Verizon's 4G and their 3G, both very consistent. Speeds have been very, very good. Then you look at this one, they're experiencing some network issues, but I do have to declare a winner in the dogfight. And just on the device front, it goes to the Epic 4G Touch. This is the better device. It's just really struggling on the network front right now. I happened to update the weather widget earlier. It took me 6 minutes for the weather widget to update on 3G. So 6 minutes for a little widget, that's pretty unacceptable, and it took me 5 minutes to send a tweet the other day. So something to keep in mind, if you're doing a lot of data stuff, you're going to have to keep it on Wi-Fi or hope that you get a strong 4G signal, because at least on the 3G front, it's been a little shaky lately. But definitely a great device over here. Very, very close second in this dogfight, and their network speeds are very, very consistent. But the dogfight winner is the Epic 4G Touch. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices, and more dogfights later in the week between the Epic 4G Touch and devices like the Photon, the Evo 3D, and more. So keep it locked on PhoneDog.com. Like us on Facebook as well, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're still giving away tablets as part of the greatest tech giveaway ever, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. Like our page, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Click on the sweepstakes application, do a little reading, and it'll be good to go from there. Be sure to follow me on Twitter also, PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Let me know what you think, and as always, we'll see you next time.